Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. You know what's worse than troubleshooting someone's printer jam on a Monday morning? Realizing your marriage might be the one that's jammed. And no, turning it off and on again won't fix it. I'm Owen, 30, balding in a distinguished way, according to my barber, who lies professionally, and I run an IT support business that's somehow more stressful than marriage. Kathy, my wife, works as a secretary at a mid-sized accounting firm. No kids yet, just 2 plants and one deeply suspicious cat who, in hindsight, may have known something I didn't. We've been married 5 years. That magical number where date nights turn into Netflix arguments and your texts go from, I miss you, to pick up toilet paper. Romantic stuff. But lately, Kathy's been distant. Not in a need space kind of way. More like, I've already mentally packed my bags kind of way. She started smiling at her phone too much. Not the cute, my husband just sent me a meme smile. More like the Randy just texted me kind of smile. Who's Randy? Her boss. And the last guy you'd expect to be charming unless you're turned on by aggressive cologne and people who say, let's circle back. I told myself I was being paranoid. I work with people who think the cloud is a literal thing in the sky. My judgment is constantly in question. But then came the downtown hotel. I was at the Marlowe, fancy place, all velvet couches and water that costs $50 a bottle, for a business meeting with a potential client who wanted to digitally transform. Whatever that means. I was early, as usual. I don't trust public Wi-Fi or people who show up late. And there she was, Kathy, wearing her navy blue pencil skirt, the one she saves for important meetings, and smiling like someone who wasn't expecting to get caught. And standing right next to her, Randy, in the flesh. Overconfident, overdressed, overclogged Randy. At first, I thought, oh okay, maybe a work meeting. That's innocent, right? Then I saw how close they were standing. His hand brushed her lower back like he owned a timeshare there. She laughed, not the forced polite chuckle she gives me when I tell her IT jokes. No, this was real, sparkly, flirty laughter. I ducked behind one of those fake planned arrangements by the lounge, looking like a poorly disguised spy or a recently fired magician. I wasn't breathing. I didn't blink. I was half a step away from Googling how to fake a heart attack in a hotel lobby. Then they walked, not rushed, not awkward, but comfortable, like they'd done it before. Straight to the reception. Hello, Randy said smoothly. Reservation under Miller. Deluxe suite. Deluxe. Not even trying to be subtle. I wanted to yell. At least get the standard room if you're going to cheat, you arrogant fridge magnet of a man. The receptionist, probably trained in customer service, but not scandal management, smiled and typed like nothing was wrong with this little rendezvous. Kathy leaned in, said something I couldn't hear. He laughed. She touched his arm. Touched his arm, like it was the most natural thing in the world to do. Meanwhile, I was in the corner losing my last shred of dignity and sanity, clutching my laptop bag like it held the Holy Grail. They took the key card, and then, the elevator pinged. Chrome doors opened, like the gates of betrayal themselves. And they stepped in. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stood there. As those doors began to close, Kathy glanced sideways. Not directly at me. That would have been cinematic. But enough for my stomach to drop like a Windows update in the middle of a meeting. They headed upstairs. And me? Well, I stayed downstairs. With a bottle of water. And a perfectly good heart attack that no one noticed. I stood there like a stunned meerkat, watching the elevator doors close on my wife and her very deluxe boss, wondering what the hell just happened to my marriage. There are certain things you're prepared for in life. Printer paper jams. Crashes during a software update. Your mom accidentally liking your Instagram post from 2017 at 2 a.m. But seeing your wife check into a hotel with Randy from accounting? That wasn't on the list. Not even on the backup list. I didn't want to storm upstairs like a movie hero. What was I going to do? Knock on every door shouting, "Excuse me, has anyone seen my dignity?" No, I had to be smart. Strategic. Play this like a tech guy would. Gather data, assess the situation, and definitely avoid human emotion. So I turned to the receptionist. Poor girl. Mid-20s, name tag said Brenda. Probably expected a boring afternoon of corporate bookings and passive-aggressive tourists. Instead, she got me. Emotionally unstable, possibly sweating, and radiating the energy of a man who just found out his marriage is being hosted in an upstairs room. I walked up with the confidence of a dad pretending he knows how to use TikTok. Hi, I said, trying to sound casual. Bit of a weird question, but I just saw my friend go upstairs with someone, and I wanted to double check. What name was the reservation under? Brenda blinked. I'm sorry, sir. I can't give out guest details. Totally fair. Standard hotel policy. But I wasn't letting her off that easy. I leaned in, lowered my voice like I was about to confess I was Batman. Look, I'm not trying to cause trouble. I won't tell anyone. I really need to know who just checked in. She hesitated. I could see the internal struggle on her face, professional ethics versus the sheer awkwardness of the moment. Sir, I can't. It's important, I added, softer this time. Like, life imploding kind of important. She glanced around, then back at me. Her voice dropped to a whisper. The man's name is Mr. Miller, she said slowly. I nodded. That matched what I'd heard earlier. And the woman? I asked, heart doing that awful uneven thump like a Windows computer deciding whether to restart now or later. She's probably Mrs. Miller, she said, and gave me a sympathetic wince that screamed, I know she's not. And you know she's not. But let's not make this worse than it already is. I stood there, pretending that didn't feel like a gut punch covered in glitter. Mrs. Miller, huh? That was new. I mean, if this were a bad soap opera, I'd at least get a more creative pseudonym. Something like Lady Deceiver or Duchess of Backstabs. I cleared my throat. Do they come here often? I asked, like I was asking about someone's favorite gym class, not my wife's secret matinee affair. Brenda hesitated again, but by now I think she figured if she didn't tell me, I'd either pass out or start yelling Hotel California lyrics. Almost every Wednesday, she said finally. Afternoon check-in. They leave by early evening. My eye twitched. Wednesdays. The one day Kathy always said she had late meetings and document filing. How poetic. While I was ordering food and watching crime documentaries alone, she was playing house with her boss in a 5-star setting. Beautiful. I took a breath. My stomach felt like a corrupted hard drive. And, I asked, already knowing the answer, do they book the same room? Brenda nodded. Yes, sir. The same deluxe room, 903. Boom. The deluxe room. Every week. Like it's on their Outlook calendar right between monthly report and destroy Owen's soul. So there I was, standing in the lobby of the downtown Marlowe Hotel, having just learned that my wife was now moonlighting as Mrs. Miller, and Wednesdays were no longer just hump day, but apparently hump Randy day. Honestly, if I'd had hair, I'd have been pulling it out. But no, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't throw a decorative potted plant at the glass wall like a jilted reality show contestant. No, I did what any emotionally suppressed, semi-tech-savvy man with a rapidly imploding marriage would do. I turned into the villain in a heist movie. I leaned forward toward Brenda, the morally flexible receptionist, and said with all the icy calm of a man about to burn down his life, "Can I book that same deluxe room for next Tuesday?" She blinked. The same one? Room 903. That's the one. I hear it's popular. She hesitated for half a second, maybe wondering if she should call security, then shrugged. Sure. One night. Deluxe King, next Tuesday afternoon. Name on the booking? Owen Carter. Great. You'll get a confirmation email shortly. Fantastic, I said, grinning like someone who just found the last puzzle piece and realized it's a middle finger. As I walked out of the hotel, the plan started forming in my head. I wasn't just going to confront Kathy and Randy mid-rendezvous. No, that would be too easy. I needed proof. Receipts. Footage. Enough hard evidence to make a courtroom weep. So I did what I do best, called the nerds. I rang up my two most trusted guys from the office, Max and Jordan. These two could wire a toaster to live stream to the Pentagon if you gave them an hour and half a Red Bull. Max answered first. Yo, boss. What's up? You guys free next Tuesday afternoon? Jordan chimed in from the background. If this is about that lady with the haunted printer again, I'm not going. Nope, I said. This is something personal. I need you both at the Marlowe Hotel. Room 903. Bring the surveillance gear, audio, video, motion sensors if we've got him. I want this room rigged tighter than a CIA panic room. There was silence for a beat. Are we breaking the law? Max asked. Gray area, I said. Grayish. If it helps, it's for my divorce. Jordan whistled. Oh, okay then. I'm in. Good. We're something neutral. No office hoodies. Next step, a private investigator. Jordan, bless him, had a cousin who did PI work in Florida but recently moved to Jersey. I didn't ask too many questions. As long as he wasn't actively on parole, I was in. His name's Rick Stein. Ex-cop. Now digs dirt for alimony purposes. Bit dramatic, but good with results. Perfect. I called Rick. Deep voice, too much confidence. This is Rick. Rick, it's Owen Carter. Jordan gave me your number. I've got a situation. Wife's cheating. I need a paper trail and a photographic parade of lies, ideally time-stamped and admissible in court. I like your style, he said. Text me her name, employer, any routines you know. I'll start tailing her tomorrow. I hope you like fake meetings on Wednesdays. Brother, I live for fake meetings. Things were moving faster than a corrupt politician after a scandal. The room was booked. The gear was coming in. The PI was on her tail. Now I just needed to prep for the fallout. Which meant calling Bennett, my attorney, a Harvard grad with a southern drawl and a facial expression that always looked like he was halfway through saying, "Y'all done messed up." He picked up on the first ring. "Owen, what can I do for you?" "Bennett," I sighed. "It's go time. Kathy's having an affair." "Randy, you already knew?" "Brother, I ain't saying I told you so, but I told you so. That man wears snakeskin loafers and smells like cheap ambition." "Well, the deluxe suite at the Marlowe Hotel confirms it. I've got surveillance being set up, a PI digging deeper, and I need you to start prepping paperwork. This marriage is officially in beta shutdown." He didn't even miss a beat. "I'll start drafting the divorce. Be ready for questions." "And Owen, yeah, don't go doing anything stupid. Let the lawyers handle it. Keep your head cool, your pants up, and your Wi-Fi strong." Copy that. Everything was in motion. The trap was set. The camera would roll. And Bennett? He was preparing the divorce. By the time I got back home that evening, I felt like a walking stress ball wrapped in sarcasm. The room was booked, my tech guys were all in. The private investigator had a fresh notepad labeled Randy and Kathy's Creepy Wednesdays, and Bennett, my lawyer, was warming up his legal baseball bat. All I had to do now was pretend nothing was wrong. Which, let me tell you, is about as relaxing as trying to defuse a bomb while smiling for a family photo. I walked through the door, kicked off my shoes, and glanced around our eerily spotless living room. Kathy wasn't home yet. Surprise, surprise. And sure enough, my phone buzzed. "Kathy, hey babe, got a late meeting with Randy again, ugh. We'll be home late. Love you." Ah yes, the classic meeting with Randy excuse. It had officially become her catchphrase. At this point, if she ever says she's working late, I just assume the deluxe room has fresh towels and a chilled bottle of betrayal waiting. Still, I typed back like the perfect, clueless husband. "No worries, babe. Get home safe." I even added a heart. Oscar-worthy, truly. Now I had two missions. Don't give off any vibes that I knew she was basically playing hotel bingo with her boss. Slip in the business trip excuse for next Tuesday without setting off the cheater radar. She came home a little after 9. Hair a little too neat. Lipstick freshly reapplied. Not a trace of guilt on her face. Honestly, she could give a TED talk on how to act innocent after doing shady stuff. "Hey, honey," she chirped, leaning in and giving me a kiss on the cheek like she hadn't just possibly used her lunch break for adultery. Ugh, I didn't make it on time again. "But you know it's just work." "Oh, I know, sweetheart. I know your work schedule better than Google Calendar at this point." I gave her a tired smile and played my role like a champ. "No biggie. I'm beat too. Let's eat and crash early." She nodded, clearly relieved she didn't have to fake enthusiasm for anything else tonight. We heated up leftover lasagna, sat in front of the TV watching something neither of us was paying attention to, and made awkward small talk about Randy's management style, while I resisted the urge to throw marinara sauce at the wall. Then came the bedtime dance. This was always the tricky part. She'd try, half-heartedly, to initiate something physical. You know, the obligatory married people ritual, like shaking hands at a conference, but way less enthusiastic. So I had to dodge it gently, make it seem like I was still interested, just too tired, or stressed, or maybe coming down with something. Ugh. I groaned dramatically, rubbing my temples. "I think I stared at screens too long today. I've got a splitting headache. Let's just cuddle." "Sure," she said quickly. A little too quickly. "Yeah, you need rest." We both knew what was happening, but we said nothing. It was the perfect charade, her pretending to be into it, me pretending to be into her pretending. A few days passed like that. I gave her more reasons than a malfunctioning router. Too much caffeine. Client meeting drained me. Twisted my back trying to plug in a server. That one was real, actually, and to my surprise, she didn't push. Not once. That's when it hit me. She was only going through the motions, so I wouldn't suspect anything. She wasn't interested. She wasn't invested. The marriage had become this weird, passive performance where both of us were actors in a show neither of us wanted to renew for another season. She was keeping up the routine, the pecks on the cheek, the dinner table chatter, not out of love, but out of obligation. Out of fear I'd catch on. She was only doing it, so I wouldn't suspect anything. Tuesday arrived like a tax audit wrapped in heartbreak. I'd already laid the groundwork with Kathy earlier in the week. "Hey babe, I've got a 2-day business trip. Big client. Might have to stay overnight. Could be back Wednesday, could be Thursday." She barely blinked. "Okay, just keep me posted." Didn't even fake concern. "No, I'll miss you." Not even a drive safe. Just a casual shoulder shrug, like I told her I was popping out for milk. Which, honestly, made things easier. I left that morning with my business trip bag in hand, gave her a quick forehead kiss, Real platonic energy, like a dad dropping off his kid at soccer practice, and headed straight to the Marlowe. Max and Jordan were already there, in full Mission Impossible mode. Room 903 was ours, temporarily. Yo, boss, Max greeted, popping the trunk and pulling out 2 camera kits, a sound rig, and what looked like a suspiciously professional-looking button mic. You sure you want to go through with this? I'm already knee-deep in disappointment, I replied. Might as well get the whole documentary. We wired everything, ceiling corners, bedside lamps, even a plant that looked too fake to not be hiding a mic. Jordan even named it Betrayal Fern. Cute. We tested all the equipment. Video, clear. Audio, crisp enough to hear them breathing. I briefly hated how talented we were at espionage. By noon, our operation was set. Cameras on. Laptops recording. No turning back. We checked out, all 3 of us, just a few hours before my loving wife and her discount cologne-scented boss were due to arrive. Then came the waiting. Around 3:40 p.m., my phone buzzed. Max had sent the file. Subject line, buckle up, boss. Graphic as hell. That's when I knew this wasn't going to be easy viewing. This wasn't going to be Kathy and Randy awkwardly reading PowerPoint slides in robes. I sat in my car outside a Starbucks parking lot, because somehow, betrayal feels more digestible with overpriced coffee, and click play. The video opened with a timestamp, 3:26 p.m. Door opens. Kathy enters first. Hair done. Makeup fresh. Like she was heading to a photo shoot for Cheaters Monthly. Randy strolled in behind her, grinning like a man who just discovered casual infidelity was tax deductible. They shut the door. I braced myself. Within seconds, they were all over each other. No small talk. No warm-up. It was like watching a deleted scene from the Randy and Kathy show, not safe for marriages. Clothes? Flying. Like, full-blown cartoon-style flinging. Kathy's blouse hit the lamp. Randy's belt made a noise I'm pretty sure was illegal in 3 states. It was chaos. And then, the main event. I won't go into details, mostly because I'm still trying to bleach them from my brain. But let's just say, my wife has a skill set that she's never used in the 5 years of our marriage. Skills that belong in an Academy Award-winning adult film. There was choreography. There were props. There were sounds that made my left eye twitch. I sat there, jaw on the steering wheel, watching this real-life rated-R reboot of my wife's personality. The same woman who once said, "That's weird," when I suggested we use whipped cream on pancakes in bed, was now out here doing aerial stunts like Cirque du Betrayal. I actually paused the video at one point, stared into the void, and muttered, "She never tried that with me." After watching that cinematic horror show in Room 903, starring my wife and her boss in roles nobody asked for, I did what any man holding a virtual nuke in his Dropbox would do. I drove home. Not because I was okay. Not because I was over it. But because I had a plan. And this time, I was sticking to it tighter than Randy's shirt buttons during Sin. I walked in around 9 p.m., acting like a man who didn't just witness his marriage get body slammed in 1080p. Kathy, as always, played her role like an award-winning actress in a sitcom nobody wanted renewed. She greeted me at the door with that same pretend enthusiasm, like she hadn't just spent her afternoon in a hotel suite performing acrobatics that would get an R rating on HBO. "Hey honey," she sang, kissing my cheek like nothing was boiling beneath the surface. "You're back early. How was the trip?" "Exhausting," I said flatly. "Let's just eat and crash." "Oh, okay. Long meetings, huh?" "Yeah," I replied. A lot of exposure. That was not a lie. We had leftover takeout. I pushed pad thai around my plate like I was 5, and it was broccoli. I didn't say much. She didn't notice. Honestly, I could have been a cardboard cutout of myself, and she still wouldn't have blinked. Then we went to bed, backs turned like the happy couple we weren't. Day 1 of pretend everything's fine complete. The next day, rinse and repeat. "Hey babe," Kathy chirped, now fully recharged by denial and herbal tea. "You seem off. Are you okay?" "Just tired," I said again. "Work's been a lot." Which, again, not a lie. Gathering evidence that your marriage is held together by duct tape and deception is a full-time job. I stayed calm. Didn't snap. Didn't bring it up. Because in 48 hours, Bennett was going to do all the talking. Speaking of which, that night, I called my lawyer. The one and only Bennett Carter. Southern, sharp, and as emotionally available as a courtroom bench. He answered on the second ring. "Owen, you sound ready." "I'm beyond ready," I said, pacing my garage like a man plotting a controlled explosion. "I've got video, audio, and timestamps. Serve Kathy at her office. Make it dramatic. Serve Randy too, for breaking every office code of conduct and probably the Geneva Convention." Bennett chuckled. "All right. Names, dates, room numbers. I've got it all. Once my PI sends the evidence, I'll forward it to you. I also have footage that'd make a Vegas showgirl blush. obviously not for court. He whistled. You want the whole deal then? Divorce papers on her desk. HR complaint to Randy's firm. I'll have the paperwork ready by tomorrow. Make it tight. Court ready tight. Always is, Bennett said. Send me everything. We'll start the party. That night, just when I thought I couldn't handle another surprise, I got an email ping from Rick Stein, my delightfully shady private investigator. Subject: The Matinee Mistress, full report. Attachments: PDF, timestamped photos, surveillance notes. Every meeting, every check-in. It was timestamped to the second. Kathy and Randy walking in like they own the place. Kathy signing the guest register as Mrs. Miller. Rick even got a copy of that. My man was thorough. I opened the file, flipped through it slowly, smirked once or twice at Randy's painfully outdated suit choices, and forwarded it to my lawyer with one sentence. Let's end this. Thursday, the day of reckoning. While most people were thinking about happy hour or whether they left the garage light on, I was thinking about something far more satisfying, like watching my soon-to-be ex-wife and her boss get legally pantsed in front of their receptionist. Bennett had texted me earlier that morning. Papers are on their way. Should land at her office by 10:30. You want updates? I replied nope. I'll just feel the tremor in the air when it happens. Meanwhile, I was calmly zipping up my duffel bag. Clothes packed, toothbrush ready, charger untangled. I had already checked into a hotel 5 minutes from our place. Nothing fancy, just enough space for me and my wounded dignity to stretch out and watch reruns of Seinfeld while eating guilt-free nachos. See, I wasn't sticking around for Act 2 of the Betrayal Chronicles. I wasn't about to be home when Kathy came back crying and pretending she was the victim in the script she wrote herself. Nope. I was going to be somewhere with decent Wi-Fi, room service, and absolutely zero people named Randy. At exactly 10:42 a.m., Kathy and Randy were apparently enjoying another thrilling, working morning at the office, probably standing too close to each other near the Keurig, when the front desk buzzed. There's someone here asking for Catherine and Randy. The receptionist called over the intercom. According to the update Bennett gleefully gave me later, Kathy walked out first, smiling, probably thinking someone sent her free cupcakes. Randy followed, adjusting his tie like a man trying too hard to seem important. And then, bam. Process server. Polite, calm, professional. Holding 2 manila envelopes like he was about to give them a surprise quiz. You Catherine Carter? Yes. You Randall Miller? Yeah. You've both been served. Boom. Just like that. I wasn't there, but I could feel the silence. Kathy went pale. Not bad lighting pale. Existential crisis pale. And then the tears came. Quick, quiet. Like her face realized it was finally time to admit it was a dumpster fire. Randy? He just stood there, blinking like someone who accidentally walked into an escape room. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. Kathy, incoming call. Nope. Kathy, missed call. Kathy, voicemail left. Kathy, calling again. I didn't answer. I didn't even listen to the voicemail. I just muted my phone and dropped it on the hotel nightstand like a man who'd finally deleted Candy Crush after losing for the 78th time. I grabbed the room service menu, ordered a cheeseburger and curly fries, and turned on the Weather Channel. Not because I cared about the forecast, because it was the most drama-free channel I could think of. A few hours later, Kathy reached home. I imagined the dramatic moment, the empty house, the quiet air, the faint echo of her own choices slapping her across the face. She probably dropped her bag, called my name like she was in a Hallmark movie. Owen, babe, are you home? No response. Then she saw the note. Right there on the kitchen counter, beside the fruit bowl that only ever held bananas for 24 hours before turning into brown mush. Don't bother calling me. If you need to connect, contact my attorney, Bennett. No hearts. No love. Just Bennett. By the time the court date rolled around, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was just ready. Ready like a man who's been stuck in an emotional tech support loop for 5 years and finally figured out the only fix was unplugging the whole damn system. Kathy had tried reaching out a few times after the legal fireworks show at her office. She called, texted, even showed up at my office once. Said she just wanted to talk. But I had already spoken to the security. Gave them strict instructions. If a woman named Kathy Miller shows up claiming to be my wife, kindly remind her that's not true anymore. Then send her back to wherever Randy keeps his moral compass. Assuming he finds it. They nodded. One of them even gave me a thumbs up like I'd just won a breakup championship. Anyway, court day? I walked in with Bennett by my side, looking like he just walked out of a southern courtroom drama where he wins every case, then sips bourbon by the fire. Morning, Owen, he said, flipping through our file like it was a menu. You ready for this? Born ready, I said. Also, slightly over-caffeinated and morally vindicated. He smiled. My favorite kind of client. Kathy showed up with her lawyer, Some guy named Phil who looked like he charged hourly, but hadn't won a case since Friends was still airing new episodes. She wore a sad expression like she'd just been forced to return a puppy she stole. We didn't make eye contact. I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction of seeing if I still cared. Spoiler, I didn't. Things got rolling quick. Her lawyer did what her lawyer had to do: spin, stretch, and sprinkle some good old-fashioned courtroom fiction. Your Honor, Phil began, trying to sound like he'd just discovered morality. This was a one-time incident. My client has expressed deep regret. She never meant to cause lasting harm to Mr. Carter. This was an isolated lapse in judgment. Bennett didn't even look up from his notes. One-time incident, he said, casually sliding a USB across the table like it was a hot sauce packet at a barbecue. Your Honor, if this was a one-time lapse, it somehow lapsed over the course of 5 months, in the same deluxe hotel room, every Wednesday between 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. The judge raised an eyebrow. Do you have proof? Oh, Bennett said, finally smiling. We have hotel receipts, time-stamped photos, security footage of both parties entering the room hand in hand. The room went silent. Phil's soul briefly left his body. Kathy looked like someone who just realized their GPS was set to life ruin, and there was no U-turn in sight. She tried to cry. It wasn't serious. I just made a mistake. I never stopped loving Owen. I didn't say anything. Because you don't argue with someone who thinks cheating weekly for 5 months is just oopsie behavior. The judge leaned forward. So to summarize, Ms. Carter and her boss engaged in an ongoing affair for nearly half a year. Mr. Carter has provided irrefutable documentation. There are no children, and both parties are employed. Phil attempted one last, weak Hail Mary. Maybe some form of reconciliation could be. Denied. The judge snapped, like even he was tired of Kathy's Wednesday matinees. Divorce is granted. No alimony. No child support. The marital home, as it was purchased by Mr. Carter before the marriage, will remain his property. I felt a rush. Not joy, not revenge. Just freedom. Like someone finally released me from a bad cell phone contract I couldn't escape. The judge continued. You'll split the shared accounts per standard procedure. Ms. Carter will be granted 30 days to vacate the home. 30 days. That was it. She had a month to pack up her yoga mat, take her overpriced candles, and exit my life like the pop-up ad she always was. You know what they say, karma doesn't text back, but she does show up to the office with a clipboard and an HR policy manual. About 2 days after the judge officially ended the love and lies chapter of my life, I got a text from Jordan, my tech guy turned surveillance specialist turned unofficial gossip liaison. Jordan. Yo. You hear about Kathy and Randy? Word is HR put them on leave. Investigation launched. I leaned back in my hotel bed with my bag of Doritos like I was watching an episode of Corporate Justice, Special Infidelity Unit. Apparently, after my legal team dropped that sweet manila package at Kathy's office, evidence, timestamps, and security footage lovingly labeled from the desk of reality, someone in HR finally opened their eyes and said, wait a minute, this ain't just bad judgment. This is a whole Netflix series. Turns out, their company had what most normal American companies have, a code of conduct. And in big bold corporate font, it said something like, employees in managerial positions are prohibited from engaging in intimate relationships with subordinates. Which, funny enough, is exactly what Kathy and Randy were doing, every Wednesday, in a hotel, while probably skipping performance reviews and pretending Outlook was down. Word started spreading like cream cheese at a New York bagel shop. A committee was formed. A real, HR deep dive. We'll need access to your emails, kind of committee. From what I heard, they were put on administrative leave, which is corporate for go sit at home while we dig through the ruins of your career. And I didn't say a word. Didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't even forward the memes I made of Randy with devil horns. I just waited. Then, one morning, about a week after the divorce was finalized, I got a call from Max. Dude, he said, already laughing, they're out. Both of them. Fired. Both. I asked, sipping my coffee like a man whose blood pressure had returned to human levels. Yep. Gone. Apparently, once your lawyer sent over that evidence packet, HR saw the light. Emails, hotel logs, security footage. Kathy and Randy had turned their corporate careers into an after-hours soap opera. What about the one-time mistake narrative? I asked sarcastically. Max snorted. That disappeared faster than Randy's bonus check. He paused, then added, their access badges were revoked. I heard Kathy try to swipe in last Monday, and the scanner just beeped red like, access denied, adulterer. I smiled. Not because I wanted revenge, but because poetic justice really knows how to wrap things up. And just like that, Kathy and Randy had been terminated from the office. A few days after Kathy got the corporate boot, my phone buzzed again. Guess who? Yep. The same woman who once couldn't find the energy to reply to my texts during her weekly staff meetings at the Marlowe. Kathy. Oh, and please, can we talk? I just need some time. Please don't do this to me. I'm already out of a job. Can I stay a little longer until I figure things out? Sure, because nothing screams accountability like, please help me recover from the life choices I repeatedly made behind your back. I stared at her message for a second, then replied with the warmth of a dead car battery. Only 5 days left. Tick-tock. Then I blocked her number like she was spam from a fake IRS agent. Let me be clear, I wasn't bitter. I was done. But every now and then, life hands you an opportunity to wrap up loose ends with style. I had moved back into my house. My house. The one I bought before Kathy decided fidelity was optional and Randy was somehow a promotion. No roommates. No fake affection. No leftover tension marinated in lies. Just me, my grill, and a Bluetooth speaker that only plays 70s funk and judgment-free jazz. Meanwhile, Kathy and Randy? Flat broke. Unemployed. Unemployable. Living together like two soap opera rejects who accidentally made a real mess and were now paying rent in regret. But then, as I was cleaning up my files one weekend, I came across the folder. Deluxe Doom, raw footage. Yep, the greatest hits. Every video, every soundbite, every hotel lobby moment captured in 4K infidelity. And I realized, aside from court, I hadn't used this for anything else. So I called Max and Jordan. Boys, I said, you feel like making one final delivery? Jordan chuckled. What are we dropping? Anthrax or dignity? Just the truth. In nice padded envelopes. Max snorted. Anonymous or signed? Justice? Anonymous, of course. We're classy now. They were in. And they were thorough. In the following 72 hours, neat little packets were delivered discreetly to a select circle. Kathy's parents, her sister Megan, her best friend Lindsay, who once gave me side-eye at Thanksgiving, and a few mutual friends who once wondered why I was so distant lately. Inside each packet, a lovely little flash drive labeled Wednesday afternoons. No context, no threats, just raw, unedited truth. And then, silence. Sweet, peaceful, awkward silence. I didn't need a response. I didn't want one. I wasn't looking for revenge at that point. I just wanted closure. Kathy's world had already come undone. This was just the final gust of wind to knock the house of lies off the edge. I sat on my porch that evening, beer in hand, dog at my feet. I didn't have a dog, but I imagined one, probably named Kevin, watching the sunset like a man who finally reinstalled his sanity. And for the first time in a long time, I was done. Life has a funny way of slapping you in the face, and then handing you a mojito right after. It's been 8 months since Kathy and Randy became a broke, jobless punchline. I don't hear from them anymore. Unless you count the occasional rumor from mutual acquaintances that they're fighting over gas money or who gets the last pack of ramen noodles. Ah, karma. She may not always be on time, but when she shows up, hoo boy, she's got perfect aim. As for me, let's just say the Owen you're hearing now isn't the same man who sat on the edge of a hotel bed in disbelief, holding a manila envelope full of betrayal. No, sir. I'm thriving. My business took off after the divorce. Funny how removing dead weight really does wonders for your productivity. I started traveling again, Colorado in the spring, Maine in the summer. Took up boxing. And yes, I even learned to cook something that doesn't come from a microwave. Proud of that lasagna, not gonna lie. And somewhere between rebuilding my life and accidentally joining a trivia night at a bar downtown, I met her, Grace. She's smart, witty, has zero tolerance for BS. The kind of woman who doesn't need fixing and doesn't expect you to be perfect either. We took things slow. No masks, no games, just two people choosing each other, one day at a time. We started talking about moving in together next year. Maybe a dog. Maybe a little weekend place by the lake. I'm not rushing it, but for the first time in a long time, I'm hopeful. Because while the past nearly broke me, it also built me into a man who knows exactly what he deserves, and more importantly, what he'll never tolerate again. And that feels damn good. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.